Hi there everybody, welcome to my channel. My name is Imani. I am currently a veterinarian student here at the University College Dublin in Ireland. I just completed my sophomore year, so I am halfway through my program, completed a total of 2 years already. Can't believe it. Seems like only yesterday I just started, but to be honest, I came into vet school with very healthy, what I considered healthy study tips and methods and this and that, just to come to vet school to realize, oh my gosh, I have to study differently, or oh my gosh, I have to just do everything so differently. So throughout my 2 years, I came up with a list of helpful study methods that I believe will help any current veterinarian student or any undergraduate student that's maybe in a STEM major or even maybe another major, just to help you stay on top of classes and to really understand the material to get the best possible grade at the end. So here are my 5 study tips. All right, let's start off with the number 1, condense notes. So I know what you're thinking. Of course, Imani, I'm gonna condense my notes prior to the midterm or the exam anyway. That's a no-brainer. But I'm specifically talking about condensing your notes before the lecture itself. So not only does this give you an opportunity to pre-read the material beforehand, but it also gives you the opportunity to put all that information into a smaller document. It could be more than likely a Word document where you copy most of the information from the PowerPoint and or if not all of it. This only pertains to professors that actually give you the PowerPoint before class. Some only really release it the day of, if not during the class time itself. So unfortunately for those professors, you can't do this method, but if your professor does release the PowerPoints or the learning material prior to class, I recommend to condense the notes for class at least 1 to 2 days before the actual class. For vet school in particularly, the amount of information that they give you is just rapid fire, so to condense everything before every single class will be kind of overwhelming. So for this, I do recommend that maybe you and another student share the responsibilities of condensing notes. So maybe the other student would do the morning classes and then you would do the evening classes, but you both kind of still do it in the same type of note style and the same type of like lettering or heading or anything, so you can just swap notes back and forth. Not only does this give you an opportunity to have all the information prior to class, but it is your first time looking at it, so you can maybe get any possible questions out the way too. So when you go over the material in class, you can ask those questions to the professor, if not during the class, then maybe after the class. But this, in my opinion, is the best way to prepare for class and is also a great study material, because once you are reviewing for the midterms or the finals, you'll already have your notes condensed and you can just review your already condensed notes and you know that it's right because you did it, if not a couple of weeks ago. Number 2, flashcards. So flashcards are through and through a really, really good idea. It really helps you understand just the nitty-gritty details, whether it's more picture-based stuff like anatomy classes or more steps for like the Krebs cycle for a biochemistry or cell metabolism class, or knowing just the half-life of different drugs. So for your pharmacology classes, flashcards are a good way to go. I personally like using Anki. I know that there are 2 versions out there, but I use both versions and both are really good. I have some classmates that as soon as they are done with lectures, they go ahead and make flashcards immediately after the lecture is over or later that night, and it truly, truly helps them, because not only can you go over your flashcards from earlier lectures, maybe in that week, but you'll also be prepared once the exam comes, because you're constantly reviewing these flashcards. For the flashcards, I do recommend to study them maybe just before you go to bed, because then it like really stays in your mind and it's a really, really good idea. Number 3, category charts. So category charts are a really, really good study method when it comes to just trying to get the big picture of things. So for example, this past year, I took a class called pathobiology for my vet school. It is a class that basically talks about diseases and everything to do with diseases when it comes to symptoms, treatments, how to diagnose it, what types of animals they affect, and so on and so forth. So for this vast knowledge, it's easier to kind of ingest it when it comes to category charts. Not only can you have the disease name, but then you can have everything else to do with the disease beside it. So instead of having to flip through like all of these maybe condensed notes or all of these PowerPoints, you can just look at one category chart. Mind you, the category chart document might be like 10 to 15 pages, but still you could look at this one document and you can find all the information that you need right there. It is very, very helpful when it comes to studying and just trying to understand just the big picture overall. I highly recommend category charts. Number 4, rewriting your notes. So rewriting your notes is a really good tool you can use to study, especially for memorization, because if you remember writing that one line during that one time, hopefully not in the wee hours in the middle of the night, then more than likely once you're actually at the midterm or the exam in general, you will remember. So I recommend rewriting major topics. For vet school, there is a lot of information thrown at you, so try to get the really big highlighted topics, or sometimes the professor will say, this might be on the exam, or this is really important, or make sure to review this. So you can highlight that in your notes and make sure to rewrite that just to give you an edge when it actually comes to the exam. I have multiple classmates that rewrite their notes and they swear by it. It is honestly one of the best things that they've ever done for studying, and it's something that they discovered works really well for all the information given to us here in vet school. So rewriting your notes is a good one. Try it out. Number 5, self-tests. So for self-test, you're going to have to get a little bit creative. Self-test is when you come up with your own exam questions per se for every single lecture. So for this study method, I recommend making around 5 to 10 questions per lecture. You can make them MCQ or free response. Ideally, you want the format to match whatever the format the exam is going to take, and then you can go from there. So you can have not only a study sheet, but you can also have an answer sheet as well. So this gives you the opportunity to not only make questions that evening, and you do have to understand the information, especially if you're going to make an MCQ, because you have to pick like wrong or incorrect answers to like trick future selves. But it also gives you an opportunity, so when in the future, when you do review this information, if you do actually forget it, you can review your notes at that point because it's not the real exam, or you can just look at your answers / cheat sheet. Self-study test is a really good idea, especially if you're kind of iffy about the material and you're not quite sure how to study for it. You honestly cannot go wrong by making your own questions and then answering it later. You do kind of have to pace yourself when it actually comes to when to study. If you are given a lot of lectures, which in vet school you will be given, you will come up with a lot of questions. So you have to give yourself enough time to actually go through every single one of these questions. Ideally, you would do it at least one time, but twice is probably the best, because the first time is just you trying to remember the general information. The second time is when you'll actually really remember, like, okay, I remember this MCQ I created for myself 3 weeks ago was answer B because of this. It really, really helps. All right, I hope that helped you guys out. Again, these are 5 study methods that I found really helped me out in the 2 years that I have been in vet school so far, and I'm personally going to implement these 5 my latter 2 years. So I hope this helps any current vet student or anybody about to get into vet school or just anybody in undergrad right now. These are 5 methods that I truly recommend. They were a complete game changer for me. I kind of really found this mostly out in vet school, and I hope it helps. Again, just to reiterate, the 5 tips are: condense your notes before class, make flashcards and study them, create category charts to look at the big picture, rewrite your notes for memorization, and create MCQs or free response questions for a self-test before your exam. I hope this helps you guys out, and thanks for watching.